Okay, back now, chapter 21, and would have been back with chapter 22 if the recording hadn't decided to do something completely unprecedented and demand an infinite number of disk swaps before it would record. I have no idea how this happened, and frankly I don't really care. I'm just annoyed I'm going to have to do stage 22 again. But, here we go. Our mission as we've been given it is, well, to murder the king. Which, frankly, we probably would have done anyway given enough time. Dude's kind of a dick. And he did kill his entire family directly. So, he's going to cop it. But not... He seems to know at least that, his queen is setting him up to die horribly. So he's going to cop it, but not before, well, all of his guards are horribly murdered, because that is pretty much what we do. And somebody has just gassed the king. Not fatally. That's, that'd be Christina, I believe. One of the survivors of the kidnapping gang that grabbed Bianca in the first place. In fact, except for Miguel, I think she's the only survivor at this point. This game is really starting to rack up the body count on named characters. At this point it's getting slightly ridiculous. So again, you'll notice more traps have been upgraded. I've just ignored the screens where I'm doing it to save time. A couple of minutes off each video, it really does that up. So I've gone with an old favourite, modified slightly. Lock them down with the vacuum floor, cold arrow for the combo multiplier. Send them flying. It's a little bit harder to work with. In theory, the vacuum floor would help here, but it can't actually hit anyone who hovers like that guy does. So one guy into it. Unfortunately, Baldwin, who's as annoying as shit, gets away because he floats and therefore cannot be affected by magnetism. Don't ask me how this works, it's just the game. You can see him right there, flipping up in the air doing his spinny thing. If you can get him while he's not levitating, it works. If you can get him lined up with a big hit, it also works. I've missed twice in a row, timing the cold arrow on him to get the combo. Kind of feel sorry for Mildred. Not for killing him, just because he's called Mildred. That's a terrible name to give your child. Although I'm not sure if Chestbarn is any better. I mean, at least it sounds somewhat manly. Doesn't sound like you're an unwanted boy. We need another combo to get rid of Baldwin here, because he is immune to anything that's magnet-based, so any vacuum-based trap he will ignore completely. And I don't get rid of him fairly shortly, I'm going to have to deal with him and one of the Goliaths who does their usual bullshit. Glass, of course, thump the ground, stun you and thus make you kind of a walking target for every other enemy around. The other enemy around, I should say. The game never actually sends more than 2 at a time. So this is our trap theory, more or less. We're going to try and goad him up. We're going to hopefully get him with the foot cutter. Hold out the thunderbolts. So drop the rock on him and send him out into the path of the dance. Whether or not this works is touchy. It's tricky to time. I've got to goad him up over the foot cutter, drop the rock in the right time so the flare hits it and him, and launches him out into. So you just see he's going straight up there. There's a chance the flare rock could have launched in a different direction, and then I would have been in a lot of trouble. But he's dead. Or as good as dead. And it's a good trap combo. Feels okay. I do kind of feel sorry for any man who doesn't know what he's dying for, even if it's just for the sake of dying. So got McQueen, a knight, moderately dangerous, not really by themselves though. They have good range, but not a lot of speed and no special abilities. And they are, however, kind of dangerous when combined with a Goliath like Chestbarn, because he will stun you and then the knight will cut you to ribbons. Fortunately, the Goliaths have a limited range on their earthquake ability. The ability itself has infinite range, but they won't use it unless they're close to you. What is that? spamming them constantly. So we're going to try and send him into the gears for this one. Because, well, actually I'm not sure what we did with this one. What we did with this one. I only recorded this a couple of days and that's a bad sign. I can't even remember exactly what happened because I recorded earlier this week. We're going to be using a lot of sort of similar combos here. And because I'm getting lazy at the end of the game. So what we're going to do here, we're going to try and foot cutter him down into the wall, launch, which will hopefully should launch him into the big grinding gear. And then the flare off is set to come down roundabout where he should land. Fortunately, I've got the wrong one there. And into the gear. Hopefully, yes, he's going to land right back on the exploding one, which will launch him back into the gears. Not quite enough to kill him, however, though it was rather effective. Though, you know, considering he didn't actually think to get up in time before the Thunderball recharged, it did prove to be rather fatal. You'll see a lot of me using a combo similar to that in this video. It's very effective for wearing them down because if you're quick enough on the follow-up, it's an infinite loop. And most enemies can't escape it. Most enemies can't actually live through it either, but a few can. So I need to reset this combo because I don't want to use the same one the entire time. The effectiveness drops off quite rapidly. Abusing the way that Thor hammer clips through the wall on this one. And the ridiculous range of the upgraded vacuum floor. It's very slow to charge, and its effective range is actually its biggest weakness in a lot of points. There are some rooms where it will quite literally snare everyone at full upgrade, including you. But I consider that less of an issue compared to its ability to lock down an entire area. And I wish I'd actually started using it beforehand. Very effective. So we just launched Chestburn into there. Unfortunately, he's locked down. We're going for control sort of traps out here. It's going to make my combo score suffer because I'm repeating a lot of the same stuff. I don't care. I'm at the end of this game. It's not going to affect anything I do at this point. So, fuck it. You know, we'll take the easy road for once. Now we have Wilhelm and Browning. Browning we had earlier. He's another night type, I believe. Same with Wilhelm. They're both more or less identical. One's got a little bit more health. Not a big deal. So we're changing rooms and we're going to... I'm sorry, one is a slasher actually. He is immune to electrics. The other is a bomber. He's immune to pretty much fucking everything. Not much else to say except having realised this, I've now positioned myself in a room with only 2 room traps. Not a lot of space, and the enemies are likely to pop up at the same time from the 2 different doors. This is a bad situation for anyone somehow doubting whether this was a good idea. I'm between a rock, a hard place, and 2 enemies right now. So, my plan in such a case is going to have to be to get them into the centre where I can drop the vacuum wall on both of them at once. Because, honestly, if they get to me one-on-one, I'm going to get exploded. Browning's the mad bomber type. He can do a metric fuck ton of damage. That's 2.2 imperial fuck tons for those who are playing at home. And he can pretty much wipe you out in a couple of seconds if he gets the chance. He's ridiculously effective with that sort of stuff. You can see both enemies now on top of me. I'm going to have to move before I get blown up. However, having got my distance, they are now both in range. Hopefully the vacuum floor will power up long enough to let me do this. Not quite, they didn't get the second one. But I got them both underneath it. Not enough to kill either of them, which is a problem. I'm going to need to reset some traps. I'm going to need to get more effective traps. Well, actually, what I'm going to need to do is just switch where the Thor hammer is and renew that. Keep the cold. Switch the Thunderball for a cold arrow. Or not. We're going for the excessively violent combos at this point. Vacuum forward. Ensure they're exactly where I want them. Although one of them did try to escape, he's not getting away. I don't think he did it. Thorhammer them into the Thunderwall, which will hit both of them. The Thunderwall is going to be necessary because one of them's got just enough health to survive that. So they're both down. Wilhelm is dead, not taking anyone with him. Browning should be dead. No, he's still got the tiniest smidgen of health with him. However, needs must. He's really not going to be able to do that. His aim is going to combo him again. Incomplete and utter annoyance. And there's no point at half of the combo I was using there. And at least he acknowledges he is in fact going to hell. I like that. The last enemy at this point is Gull Hazard. And this is where things get interesting. We'll see in a second. This is not a good room to be in because there's no good traps whatsoever. And Gull Hazard is a Hell Knight. Took over the job after Edgar, who was, I believe, the last Hell Knight we murdered back in stage 13. Quarter, somewhere along the lines. Which makes him an absolute pain in the ass. He has 200 HP. Good defense, and you have to keep the timing on the combos extremely tight because if you give him a split second of recovery, he goes into invincible mode and can only take 1 damage per hit. And considering he has about 200 HP, it means chipping away at him is not a viable strategy considering. So we're back in the machine room, which is very useful for this because it has such a large number of room devices shoved in a very small area. Extremely useful, particularly since I've got the vacuum floor. Now, for everything else he's immune to, he's not immune to magnets. So, there is a reason. And you see me resetting the traps at the bottom as well. You need to be very careful with your setting up on this guy. The slightest missed time and half your trap combo fails to do any damage, basically. Or will do 1 damage per hit, and you're expecting to do 40 or 50, that's not going to cut it. Potentially may cut it here with bonus. There's going to be giant flying here. They're going to be very important because, well, they're great at grinding shit up, and I kind of want this guy to settle out and find pigs in the fucking hell. It's going to take a while to catch up to, and that's the other thing that makes him dangerous, his ability to walk. He's not completely immune to the vacuum floor, he's just very resistant to it. As you see there, it didn't actually get him all the way in from being within a square of it. But as long as you can keep hitting him repeatedly, as you see his defense is quite high there, there's not a lot I could have done. He took about 7 damage off that gear. That gear would normally do 30 or 40 to a lot of people. Very tough to deal with this guy. As I said before, he's a Hell Knight. He fucking should be tough to deal with. There's bossy abilities here. If they weren't kind of tough to deal with, some people just roll them wrong. They're just tremendous pain in the ass. But as effectively the gatekeepers in this sort of game you should be. That doesn't make fighting them any quicker. Particularly not when they're smart to take a long way around and avoid the giant swinging pendulums do it. Because they're just not pulling their shit. My luck is giant pendulums. And most of them bludgeon. You can see that with the trap with knocks. Back into it, which was like I completely mistimed that, missed him in the barrel. If he hadn't been launched back into the pendulum, that would have done about half the damage it did. Shit right now. Not that I'm completely safe as he is doing less shit. He's almost dead. One more good combo should finish the job. Which we're going to adapt slightly and use the flare up. But we're just going to have to survive long enough for the vacuum floor to kick in. Him and his giant double-ended scythe are smart enough to cause me some serious trouble in this if I'm not careful. So I got my distance just enough. I'm using the vacuum floors not actually to get him for the trap combo to line him up. As you see there, he gets rammed. If you try and drop it actually on him, with the to repeat the combo here because I didn't quite time it right to launch him into the gears. Like that did there, which did for a total of 5 damage. 5. It's fucking pathetic. So he's right under the gears being ground up and he doesn't even give a shit. So now we've caught back up with King Frederick, whose bodyguards are all dead now. You see that giant gorilla up at the roof there, which I would love to use. And he is the king of Thunder. He's actually relatively cowardly. He will not... basically, he will run away from you whenever he gets the chance. This is a problem because he's a self-healer. He's not a white mage, but he has a self-healing ability. So if he gets away from you and has a chance to recoup and recovers all his health, which is a tremendous pain in the ass, he doesn't need to get all that much distance away from you. He's a fucking coward. So as you'll see in a second. So he's still cowering there from me because I'm standing close enough to lock him down. He doesn't have any more resistance than the average person, luckily. If he could combine his healing power with normal stuff, he would be completely and utterly broken. You see, I've launched him down to the bottom there, done about half his health and damage. Gonna need another trap set. So of course, most of them are still activated, so I can't change them just yet. Of course, there are restrictions on where I can put the fucking things, which is terribly, terribly inconvenient. So I'm going to have to fall back on something more traditional. Unfortunately, as you see, he's going to immediately run away and render all my planning completely pointless. So as he just runs, he runs himself right into the gear and launches himself into the corner. This is clearly not the work of a smart man. But he's scared of me. He is very, very scared of me, and so he should be. Because, well, he's seen what I've done to about 70, 80 other miscellaneous people. So, he's going to die, and because he's too scared of me to even try and get away, it's going to be quite simple. In fact, I'm just going to stand here and menace him. Give him a little bit of space. He will launch with ice at me to try and get away. And I'm going to trap him. And I'm going to use the Thor hammer to drop him right into the gear. Which is going to bounce him out back into the Thor hammer, back into the gear, back into the Thor hammer, back into the gear, down in front of the Thunder Wall, which is going to put him back into the gear. And the Thor hammer hasn't finished recharging yet, so I can't actually do any more to him. But he's pretty thoroughly dead at this point. And pretty thoroughly monomaniacal, yeah. Unfortunately, the stone is not there. Bugger. But Christina shows up and apparently has it. Bianca doesn't even remember her at this point. So she's being far nicer than she really has to be. And Christina has apparently had a change of heart. And is choosing to be nice and not going to help with the final confrontation with the selfish bitch. So we're rolling. We have the Queen rocking up, who is quite happy about her husband being murdered horribly. That's usually a bad sign in an employer. And she wants to know what's happened to the core stone. Bianca really shouldn't have told her that she has the core stone, because now she's quite likely to get horribly murdered.